So I'm starting today's class. So as I said in today's class, I'll be discussing the braking mechanisms and the single phase induction motor. Okay. So let us start today's class. Though there will be no questions because I did not find any assignment questions on these two topics, but I'm discussing it because in the exam there may be some questions on this. Okay. So let us start then. So this is okay. Hmm. So, so what is braking? What happens is when suppose your induction motor is running. Now, if you want to stop this running motion of induction motor, then what you think what you can do is that you will just remove the connection to the stator. So if you remove the connection to the stator, so you expect that okay, if the rotation is because initially it was rotating and this machine will have some inertia, so it will continue to rotate and kinetic energy will be uh, dissipated over time in the form of friction losses. Okay, and it will come to halt. But sometimes you want to stop your induction motor quickly because in many of the applications you need to continuously start and restart sometimes the induction motor in the industries. Okay, so in that case you need to go for this braking mechanisms. So what are the three types of braking mechanisms which are generally done? So the three types of braking mechanism which sir has discussed is plugging, DC dynamic braking, and regenerative braking. Okay, so we will discuss these braking mechanisms one by one. So first starting with the plugging. In the plugging, what you do? So here what you have is that initially this is your stator winding and this is your rotor winding. Okay, so as we know that in the squirrel cage induction motor the rotor windings are short circuited like this. Okay, so this is short circuited rotor winding and the stator winding is getting supplied from the three phase supply. So this is a phase winding, this one is a phase winding, this one is the b phase winding, and this one is the c phase winding. Okay, so you can see that this A phase, B phase and C phase winding are respectively connected to the three phase suppliers AS, BS and CS. Okay. So machine was initially connected to this three phase AS, BS, CS supply, and there was a rotating magnetic field with the speed ns which was rotating shown in this direction from leading phase to lagging phase. We have seen that when we have derived the expression of rotating magnetic field, when the three phase when you supply three phase distributed winding in space with three phase the three phase distributed voltage supply in time, then what happens? There is a rotating magnetic field. Okay, and how this rotating magnetic field rotates? It rotates. The direction of this rotation is from leading phase to lagging phase. So we know that the A phase voltage is Vm sine omega t. B phase voltage is lagging by sine omega t minus 120 and C phase is Vm sine omega t plus 120. So you can write this also as Vm sine omega t minus 240. So you can see that the A phase is the most leading phase in the all the three phases, and then the B phase is the second leading phase, and then C phase is the most lagging phase. So it is going from the leading phase to the another lagging phase and to the most lagging phase. Like that it is rotating. Okay, this rotating magnetic field. So this was the initial rotation. Now what you want to do is you want to stop your induction motor. So for that what you will do, you will use a TP DT switch which is triple pole double throw switch. Okay, and you will connect it to, so here you will be, so uh, in the first set of the switch connection you will have AS, BS, CS, but here what you will have is you will have AS, CS, BS. Okay, so the two phases are interchanged. So this is also another switch position which you can connect. Okay, so if you connect it like that, then what happens? Because this phase sequence is changed, so what will happen is that the direction of rotation of the magnetic field will change. So you can see that here the direction of rotation now becomes reverse. Okay. And our initial direction of the rotor was like this, because our initial direction of the rotating magnetic field due to phase sequence ABC was in this clockwise direction. So our rotor was also rotating in the clockwise direction. Okay, it was in the same direction. Now because of the plugging, now what happens, this ns is because due to the phase sequence ACB is now reversed in the anti-clockwise direction. So what happens, this electromagnetic torque is also produced in the direction of rotating magnetic field. So electromagnetic torque is produced in the direction of rotating magnetic field. So what happens? You can see that the electromagnetic torque, which is now exerted due to the phase sequence being ACB, is opposite to our initial rotation of NR. So what happens that aside from the frictional losses, that friction windage losses, you also have an opposite electromagnetic torque, which will try to bring this N. So if you allow your NR to, so instead, if you do not do any plugging, then what will happen? That NR will come to zero after some time by dissipating the kinetic energy in the form of friction losses. However, due to plugging, what you're doing, you're also, aside from these friction losses, you are also applying an opposite electromagnetic torque like this by reversing the phase sequence. So because of this, what happens that your rotor will come to its zero speed quickly. Okay. So like that. So another thing is that since you have reversed this direction, right? So when this rotor speed NR comes to zero, then what you should do is you should then remove this what you say connection from this ASCSBS, because what will happen once the NR has come to zero, if you do not remove this connection from this ASCS and BS, this ACB phase sequence, then your NR will then start to rotate in the negative direction, right? But we do not want that. We just want our rotor to come to stop. Okay. So for that, what you will do, as soon as you notice that okay, NR is now very small, you just remove this connection from this opposite phase sequence. Okay. So in plugging, so these things, there is no numerical, you just have to remember the these theoretical discussions, because in the exam they may ask you, okay, in plugging what is done, phase sequence is changed, or whether you connect it to a DC supply, what you do, like that, these kind of questions can come. Okay, so for these kind of questions I'm discussing the theories which I was unable to discuss. Okay, so in plugging, uh TPDT switch is used to change the phase sequence of supply from ABC to ACB such that opposing TE is exerted on the rotor. Okay. So this is the summary of the plugging. Okay. Now you will see that, so you see so there is another thing which sir has discussed, that see, initially before when the when this induction machine was in the motoring mode, so what was the slip? We know that slip is ns minus nr by ns, okay, like this. Now when the plugging is executed, so initially at t equal to 0 plus, what is happening? nr is not changed suddenly because of the machine inertia, the rotor speed will not change suddenly, but your ns has reversed, right? ns magnitude is same because the supply voltage magnitude is same, okay. So this rotating magnetic field, this speed magnitude is still same because the frequency is not changed, okay. So but the direction is reversed. So instead of ns, what you will be placed is it will be replaced by minus ns, because now the this direction of the rotating magnetic field of in the stator is reversed, okay. So minus ns. So if you write the slip, so the braking slip becomes ns plus nr by ns. So this is braking slip, okay. To not to just writing it as slip is a bit confusing, so I will write it as braking slip, okay. And then if you substitute your nr as initial motoring this speed ns into 1 minus s, then this 2 minus s is your s braking. Okay, so this is your 2 minus s. So this is how this braking slip and this normal motoring slip are related, okay, as 2 minus s. You will see that when we'll be discussing the induction, this single phase induction motor, this will be again brought into discussion, okay, this 2 minus s thing. So this is how it is derived. Now, there is another this another braking method, which is dynamic braking. Now, instead of reversing the phase sequence, so this is your A phase, this is your B phase, and C phase. So initially when this machine was in the motoring mode, so you have connected it to a three-phase balance supply, which is by switches like this to AS, BS, and CS. Okay, and hence a rotating magnetic field was produced, which the for the direction of this rotating magnetic field was from the leading phase to the lagging phase. You can see that. Okay, so it was in this direction, which is this clockwise direction. Now in this dynamic braking, what you do is that this these two phases, any of the two phases, like let us say this AS and CS phase, you connect it to a DC supply. Okay. And this third phase is not connected anywhere. You just connect it to a floating point. Okay. So you change this connection from this three-phase supply to a DC supply like this. So what happens? So because you have connected it to a DC supply, then what happens is that this magnetic field now so we say that when we connect three-phase distributed winding to three-phase balance supply. So this three-phase distributed winding is in space, okay, and three-phase balance supply is distributed in time. Then a rotating magnetic field is produced. However, for a DC supply, the magnetic field is stationary. Okay, so this can be seen in the case of DC machines and even in the synchronous machines also. Now in the DC machines, you give a DC supply, right? So when you give a DC supply to the electromagnets, the magnetic field which is produced is stationary. Okay. Also in the synchronous machine, also in the field, when you give the DC supply, the magnetic field is stationary, but because the rotator rotates, that is why the magnetic field also rotates. It does not rotates on its own. Okay. It is rotating because you are rotating the rotor by using some prime mover. That is why it is rotating along with the rotor. But as such, the magnetic field produced in this synchronous machine or the DC machine is stationary. Okay. So here also, when you change this supply from this three-phase supply to this DC supply, what happens is that this resulted magnetic field is stationary. Okay, so this is stationary, but the rotor is rotating because of the earlier motion of the motor. This rotor is rotating. Now what will happen? This magnetic field is stationary, but rotor is rotating. So what will happen? The EMF will be induced. Okay, because of this rate of change of this magnetic field, because rotor is seeing the change in the magnetic field due to its rotation. So what will happen? The EMF will be induced, and this EMF will try to oppose its cause. So what is the cause? The cause is that because of this difference in the speed. Okay, so now initially, due to motoring action, rotor is rotating with speed nr, but magnetic field is stationary. So this will induce EMF in rotor, which will oppose the cause as per the Lenz's law, which will so what will happen that this EMF which is induced will cause the current to flow, and what will happen is that this will be basically like an eddy current. Okay, so this will try to oppose this initial rotation. This because this EMF was induced due to what? Because of this relative change in speed. So what it will try to do is it will try to oppose this relative change in speed, and hence it will exert the opposing torque on this rotor so that this NR can be brought to zero. Okay, so this is how this DC dynamic braking works. So in both the methods, you can see that we apply the opposing electromagnetic torque. So here directly by changing the phase sequence, the electromagnetic torque direction changes, and here due to the Lenz's law, the EMF is induced such in the rotor that it opposes the initial rotor motion. Okay. So these are the two DC braking methods. Now we will see the third braking method, which is the regenerative braking. Now this is as such not, you cannot call it as braking. You can also call it as the generator action. Okay. No. Induction machine. So here what happens is that suppose, so you see that when you connect your three-phase supply of the stator to this, so you connect the stator to the three-phase supply. So what happens? That rotating magnetic field is produced. So this rotating magnetic field induces the EMF in the rotor, which what happens, due to which the current is induced, and hence this current applies the torque on the rotor so that this NR also rotates in the same direction. So why this NR rotates in the same direction? Because it wants to reduce the relative speed difference. So initially your speed difference is NS minus 0 because NR is 0. So what happens that to reduce this relative speed difference, this NR value increases so that this ns minus nr is a very small value, okay, which is slip times of ns. So slip is generally 3% or 1 to 3%. So this is a very small value. So this, so what happens is that here also this the initial rotating action in the induction machine also takes place due to this Lenz law only. Okay, everything in generators or motors takes place due to Lenz law only. Okay, whatever we get, whether motion we get or whether we get EMF, it happens because of Lenz law. Okay, so this is what happens. Now, if suppose you make your NR by some mechanism, like you have some DC motor or something connected to the rotor of this induction motor, which makes this rotor speed greater than this ns. Okay, so what happens? So when this rotor speed is made to be greater than ns, so because of that the slip becomes negative. Okay, so in this case the slip becomes negative. In the earlier cases, you see, slip does not become negative because this rotor speed is, so ns is still there. Suppose you go to dynamic braking, so ns is still here, but nr is some non-zero positive value, right? So slip is still positive in this DC dynamic braking case. Now, in the case of this electrical braking also, this braking slip 2 minus s is still positive. Okay, but here in the regenerative braking, the slip becomes negative because your ns minus nr by ns, and since nr is greater than ns, your slip becomes negative. Okay, so slip becomes negative. But if you see in this case, if you connect the wattmeters here, like suppose you connect the 2 wattmeters in the two phases, like you use 2 wattmeter method, and if you measure the power, so you will see that the power direction, that earlier it was acting as the motor, so power was getting drawn from the three-phase supply to the machine. Now what will happen? The power will become opposite. So power will be now going from the machine to the three-phase supply as this generated power. Okay, so power flow reverses, and okay, so this, let me write it properly. And induction machine or induction motor now becomes induction generator. In induction generator, what happens? In induction generator or in any generator, electromagnetic torque opposes the prime mover input. Okay, so here the prime mover input can be some DC motor or something. So it is trying to rotate NR at large value, at value more than NS. So what it will try to do? It will try to oppose this rotation. Okay, so here in um, induction generator, due to generator action, T will oppose the prime mover input, prime mover motion. Okay, or prime mover torque, I say. I think that is the appropriate term to use. Prime mover torque. Okay. So one example can be traction example. So let us say that you have a traction engine connected like this. So you will see that in our railways also you have this up. So on the top you have this electrical wiring to which this engine is connected. Engine electrical circuit is connected, right? So what happens that let us say that this engine goes now over the hill, like hill is like this, so it is going along the hill in the downward direction. So what will happen due to the gravity, your this nr will may become more than ns. So because this nr becomes more than ns, so there will be, so what will happen is that in this train or in this engine, what happens that this engine now starts to deliver power back to this supply, and but in that process the electromagnetic torque opposes this motion. Okay, so because it this downward, because it was accelerating in due to the gravity in the downward direction, now this electromagnetic torque will oppose this action of gravitational force, so that this engine speed does not go dangerously high. Okay, so it avoids the accident by using the regenerative braking in the traction applications like this. Okay, so this is one example of the regenerative braking. Okay, so this was all about braking. So I think only the theory questions will come from this topic in the braking. What can happen is that they may ask you to calculate the, let us say, slip for this plugging. So you know how to calculate this what you say, braking slip in the plugging, like that. So only very simple calculations will come, and you just need to know the theory. Okay, that what you are doing. So here you are reversing the supply. In this you are connecting it to a DC supply, and you are having a stationary magnetic field, and in this one you are doing the generator action. Okay, so like that. So they may ask you, okay, in which of these braking mechanisms you get the power back to the supply. So in which of the mechanism you give power back to the supply, it is the regenerative braking. Okay, in the other, you do not get the power back to the supply. Okay, so in the regenerative braking you get the power back in the supply, like that. So this is about the braking. So now we will go to the single phase induction motor. So I hope this is clear. So I hope that it is clear. Okay. So now I will discuss the single phase induction motor. Now, in the single phase induction motor, as the name implies, what happens is that the rotor is not changed, and but in the stator, instead of having the three-phase balance supply, now you are having a single phase supply. This is what we understand by the name single phase induction motor. Even if you do not know about the single phase induction motor, now you can what you say, extend your knowledge of three-phase induction motor, and deduce that, okay, single phase induction motor means that instead of having the three-phase balance supply in the stator, now you are having only a single phase supply. The rotor is still short circuited. But what will happen in the case of single phase induction motor is that the single phase induction motor will not be able to start. Okay, why it will not be able to start? Because you see, we have discussed, right, that if I go to some of my class earlier, so it may be around assignment 6 or 7, when I was discussing the rotating magnetic field. So not this. I think it was an earlier class. So there I have discussed about the magnetic field due to the single phase supply, okay, which is pulsating. Yes, this one. Okay. So here you see, what happens that for the single phase supply, that because you are having a single phase supply, so for the single phase supply, what happens that as the time progresses, your this Imax value changes from positive to 0 to negative. So what happens to this magnetic field? Magnetic field first becomes positive, then it becomes a small positive value, then becomes even small, then becomes 0, then become negative, and then become a large negative value, like that. So what happens is, it is a standing pulsating wave. Okay, it is not the rotating magnetic field. So what happens is that but if you apply that each of the three, if you add up the three pulsating waves in the three-phase distributed windings, you will get a rotating magnetic field. But if you take only a single phase, you will get a pulsating standing wave. Okay, so because it is not rotating, your your single phase induction motor will also not start initially. Okay, like that. So that is why because of this pulsating wave, you will see that there is no starting torque. You will see that we will get this no starting torque condition even from the this double revolving magnetic field theory for the single phase induction machine. Okay, we will derive the equivalent circuit diagram, and in that equivalent circuit diagram, if you put the condition of the starting, what you say, the starting torque, which is at slip equal to 1, you will see that at that condition you will see that it will be not rotating. Okay, the starting torque will be 0. However, this machine, you will see that at slip other than slip equal to 1, it will have a some value of running torque. Okay, so let us now examine this. So let us say we take a two-phase induction motor. Why we are taking a two-phase induction motor? You will appreciate it when I will finish this discussion. Okay. So let us say that you have a two-phase induction motor. So for two-phase induction motor, what you are having? You are having two windings which are 90 degree to each other. Like how in the three-phase induction motor, the three-phase windings in the stator are at 120 degree with respect to each other due to this winding distribution. So here also you can have a two-phase winding like that. So what you are doing, you are giving the two-phase supply which is distributed in time to two-phase windings which are distributed in space. So this is so let us say this is the winding M and this is the winding A. So this is called as main winding and this is called as auxiliary winding. You will see that in the case of the single phase induction motor, but here we are giving it the this terminologies as M and A. So what is the current? So Im is Imax cos omega t and Ia is Imax cos omega t plus 90 degree. So we can see that the two currents which we are supplying in time, or the two voltage supply which we give it, they are distributed by 90 degree. So you will see that in this case also a rotating magnetic field will be produced. Okay, and that rotating magnetic field will go from the leading phase to lagging phase. So here we can see that cos omega t plus 90 degree is leading the this cos omega t by 90 degree. We can see this is cos omega t plus 90 and this is only cos omega t. So Ia current is leading Im. So that is why this magnetic field, rotating magnetic field, so in the two phase also, remember, there will be rotating magnetic field. Only for single phase you will not get any rotating magnetic field. You will get a stationary magnetic field. But in the case of three phase or two phase or any higher number of phases, you will get a rotating magnetic field. Okay, and it will be rotating from the leading phase to the lagging phase. And what is this speed of the rotation? It can be obtained from the frequency by this formula 2f by p. Okay, like that. So this is the speed of the rotating magnetic field, same as the three phase. But what will be, so here also you will have some expression of torque. So expression of torque can be obtained as air gap power by omega r. Now what is the air gap power? We know that air gap power is copper loss by slip. And but this is a two-phase winding. So for this two-phase winding, the copper loss will be 2 I2 dash square R2 dash by S. So this will be your, so this is your air gap power. Okay, in the case of this two-phase winding. So here also there will be a resultant torque in the case of this two-phase induction motor, which will cause this rotor to rotate. Okay. So here also the rotating this action will take place in the rotor of the induction machine due to this due to this connection. Okay. So this is the thing. So what you can do is that you can represent any, so this is for the, if it is a balanced two-phase winding, okay, this is for a balanced two-phase winding and you are supplying it with a balanced two-phase supply. But if suppose your supply is not balanced, then you will have an unbalanced. So you will see that in the case of the unbalanced voltages or currents or any electrical components, unbalanced voltages or currents, okay, you can have you can represent them by using some symmetrical components. Okay, representation using components, which is positive sequence, negative sequence. And if suppose it is three phase, so in the three phase, you will also have zero sequence. But because this is only two phase, so you will have positive and negative sequence only here. Okay, no zero sequence. Okay, so like this. So any unbalanced voltage or current can be resolved in positive as the summation of positive and negative sequences. Like let us say you have unbalanced current IA, then you can write it in terms of IA1 plus IA2. Okay, where IA1 is the positive sequence and IA2 is the negative sequence. Okay, like this. So here also we will discuss the double revolving field theory. We will do the analysis for the single phase induction motor using this double revolving field theory. Okay. So for this, what we have is, what is the difference from this two phase supply to the single phase induction motor? You do not have this auxiliary winding, right? So you only have main winding and you are supplying it with the current IM. Okay. So this is the thing. Now this can be equivalently drawn like this, like a two-phase induction machine having current IM in the main winding, but having current IA equal to 0 in the auxiliary winding. There should be no problem. As per the operation, there is no change, right? Because here the IA current is 0, but there is the IM current, which is the same as the current in this single phase induction machine. Okay, so as per the working, there is no difference, but you will see that this analysis will help us to examine what happens to the starting torque and running torque. Okay, so you can see that what is happening. You are giving the two the currents which you are supplying in these two windings are unbalanced, because Im is 0, Im magnitude is 0, but Im here is some sinusoidal quantity, right? So this is a unbalanced unbalanced two phase currents. So as I said, any unbalanced quantity you can write as the summation of its positive sequence component and negative sequence component. Okay, so Im, let us say, can be written as Im1 plus Im2, and IA can be written as IA1 plus IA2. Okay, so for the positive sequence, so this is the positive sequence phasor. So here IA1 is leading the IM1, which is the same as the phasor which we assumed here also, right? So for the two phase supply also, here also we for the two phase induction motor, your what you say, this that the notation which you took for this phasor was also IA leading and IM lagging. You can see that IA is cos omega t plus 90 degree and Im is cos omega t. Okay, so when you use this symmetrical components, this positive negative sequence or zero sequence, so I'll just discuss some small things about it so that you will be able to understand this discussion here. Okay, so let us say you have positive sequence, negative sequence. So first I will discuss for the three phase. So for the three phase, so let us write it down. Okay. So this is three phase. Now we know what is the generally the phase sequence in three phase is what? A phase is here, B phase is here, and C phase is here. This is our normal, what you say, phasor diagram for the three phase supply, right? Three phase ABC phase sequence. Now, if I have to draw the phasor diagram for the positive sequence component, the negative sequence component, and zero sequence component is also there, so I'll just discuss that also. You will see that this will be discussed in more detail in power systems. Okay, so when you do fault analysis. Okay, so here I'm just discussing it briefly. So you see, so for the positive sequence, what will be the positive sequence phasor diagram? It will be the same as this what you say, your initial phase sequence. Okay, so your initial phase sequence, which you generally assume in the three phase, is ABC. your ABC phase sequence, because why this is ABC and why this is not, this is not ABC. Okay, so I will tell you what is the difference between the two. Okay, why we draw it like this. Okay, so what happens that, as I said, that in phasors you take everything in the anti-clockwise direction, right? So let us say you are standing here. So let us say you are standing here at this point. So and this phasor is rotating in the anti-clockwise direction like this, because it is a phasor, right? It is having a magnitude as well as this angle, this magnitude as well as this what frequency. That for a you can write this phasor for AC quantities, right? So because it is having some frequency omega, so this phasor is also rotating with the frequency omega, so in the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, phasor rotates in the anti-clockwise direction. So you are standing, suppose here. So if you draw it like this, ABC, and if you're standing here, so in the anti-clockwise direction, when this is rotating, so you will see first A, then so you first A will come, then after some time you will see B will come. Okay, and then after some time you will see C will come. So like this, you will see that, okay, this is phase sequence ABC, like this. Okay. So this is how we draw it like this. As I said, the angles also you measure in the anti-clockwise direction in the phasors. So this also you take this rotation also in the anti-clockwise direction. Okay. Now for the positive sequence also, it is same as this initial phase sequence ABC. Okay. So this is ABC. So you will draw like A1, sorry, B1, C1 like this. Okay. But for the negative sequence, it will be flipped. Okay. So now it will be ACB. So this is A2, B2, C2. So you can see that the positions of B and C phases are interchanged. And in the case of zero sequence, this is A0, B0, C0. So let us say you are representing a quantity. Let us say I1. Okay. So, or let us say IA. So you can write it as IA0 plus IA1 plus IA2. IB, you can write it as where it is currents. Okay. IB0 plus IB1 plus IB2. And IC, you can write it as IC0 plus IC1 plus IC2. Okay. You can represent any quantity as the summation of its zero sequence, positive sequence, and negative sequence. Okay. This is generally done for the unbalanced quantities, because if you do it for the balanced quantities, you will see that this zero sequence and this negative sequence will not come, and your this IA, IB, IC will be exactly same as IA1, IB1, IC1. Okay, this is for the balanced quantities. But for unbalanced quantities, it is written like this. Okay, so in this way you can do it. Now, let us say you have two-phase supply. So two-phase supply like this. So I am writing this as auxiliary winding and this is main winding. Okay, this is your two-phase supply. So what will happen to this two-phase supply positive sequence? So positive sequence of the two-phase supply will be same as this initial phase sequence. So this will be A1, M1, and negative sequence, it will be flipped. Okay, so now this is M2, A2 is lagging. So earlier A1 was leading by 90 degree. Now A2 is lagging by 90 degree. Like here also what was happening? B1 was lagging by 120 degree. Now B2 is leading by 120 degree. Similarly, this C1 was what you say leading by 120 degree. Now C2 is lagging by 120 degree. Okay, so this lead and lag flips. So here A1 was leading your this M reference phasor by 90 degree. Now A2 will lag this M phasor with the 90 degree. Okay, so this is how you do the positive negative sequence. You can represent any quantity like this. Okay. So now coming to the original discussion. Okay. So here, what has sir has done? Sir has written it in the form of this summation. So he has written the IM as, because this is unbalanced. You can see that IM there is a sinusoidal quantity, but IA is zero, so it is unbalanced, right? So he is writing the unbalanced two-phase currents as a summation of the positive sequence and the negative sequence. So IM equal to IM1 plus IM2, IA equal to IA1 plus IA2, and this is the corresponding phasor diagrams for the positive sequence and negative sequence, as I discussed here, right? Positive sequence is A1 leading M1. So here positive sequence IA1 is leading IM1, and for the negative sequence, this M2 is A2 is lagging M2. So you can see for the negative sequence, IA2 is lagging IM2. Okay, so here you can see that. So what here, what it will be written in the terms of phasor, you can write that okay, IA1 equal to JIM1, because it is leading by 90° J, and here it is lagging by 90°, so IA2 equal to minus JIM2. Okay, so here the complex notation J is used to denote the angle 90°. Okay, so now so here you see IA can be written as IA1 plus IA2. So IA1 is JIM1 and IA2 is minus JIM2. So we get 0, and our auxiliary current is 0 anyways, right? And what about IM1? So, and this IM1, and we know that this main current, because IM you are writing as a summation of IM1 plus IM2. So this IM1 should be equal to IM2 and equal to half of the value IM. Okay, so that you get the summation as IM, because you see, anyway, the IM, IA you are getting 0 like this, right? Why you are getting IA equal to 0? So, okay, I'll just tell you. Okay. So here IA can be written like how? IA can be written as IA1 plus IA2. This is undisputed, right? So IA is IA1 plus IA2. Now from this discussion, IA is what? Plus JIM1, and IA2 is what? Minus JIM2. But we know that our auxiliary current actually is 0. So when this will be 0? It will be only 0 when IM1 is equal to IM2, right? Because our auxiliary current is 0. But if you write it in terms of this positive and negative sequence, it becomes like JIM1 minus JIM2, but it has to be 0. It will only be 0 when your IM1 is equal to IM2. Now your IM1 is equal to IM2, and another equation you have is IM equal to IM1 plus IM2. So if you solve these two equations, you will get IM1 equal to IM2 equal to IM by 2. Okay, this is the solution. So this is how we have obtained it as IM by 2. So now let us discuss. So for the positive sequence, so we are discussing now the double revolving field theory. So for the positive sequence, what will happen? We know what is the positive phase sequence. In the positive phase sequence, the auxiliary current IA1 is leading the current main current IM1. So what will happen to the, so here let us say you are giving it as IA1, and here you are giving it as IM1. We do not know what is the value of IA and IM. Right now we are not discussing. We are just taking the, what you say, two-phase induction motor, what you say, application. If suppose you give it the positive sequence current IA1 and IM1, such that IA1 is leading IM1. Okay, this is for the positive sequence. So what will happen? A rotating magnetic field will be produced, which will be going from the leading phase to lagging phase. Two-phase induction motor action. Okay, so and the rotation speed will be 2F by P. Now, so rotate this electromagnetic torque, in which direction it will be applied? It will be applied in the direction of the rotating magnetic field. So rotating magnetic field is in the clockwise direction. So electromagnetic torque is also applied in the clockwise direction. Always remember that the electromagnetic torque will be applied in the direction of rotating magnetic field. Okay. So you can see that what is happening to the electromagnetic torque, it will be applied in the direction of the rotating magnetic field, which is in this direction, right? In the clockwise direction, from the leading phase to the lagging phase, like this. Okay. Now, let us say you consider only the negative sequence. Let us say that you are supplying the two windings, auxiliary winding and the main winding of the two-phase induction motor with the current like this. So you have IM2 and IA2, where IA2 is lagging IM2 by 90 degree. Now what will happen? So here also rotating magnetic field will be produced from the leading phase to the lagging phase. Now what is the leading phase here? Leading phase here is the IM2. So rotating magnetic field will be produced from this leading phase M to the lagging phase IA. Okay, IA2. So it will be in the opposite direction. So what will be the direction of the electromagnetic torque? It will be in this direction, right? So let us say that, let us call this electromagnetic torque, which is produced due to the positive sequence, as this TEF, or forward electromagnetic torque. And let us say that you are calling this electromagnetic torque as TB, or backwards electromagnetic torque. Okay, we are just giving it some name. So in the case of the single phase induction motor, what will be the net electromagnetic torque? It will be just TEF minus TB in this forward direction. We are saying that, okay, let this be our direction which we are taking as the reference. So in this direction, if you write the net electromagnetic torque, it will be the difference of the two torques because they are in the opposite direction. So this will be TEF minus TB. And how did I comment that this is in the opposite direction? So if you calculate the slip, let us say that you are rotating your machine, let us say induction machine, you are rotating in this clockwise direction, NR. So for this forward case, what will be the slip? It will be NS minus NR by NS. And in this case, what will be the slip? So let us say your NR is like this. So, but NS is opposite, right? NS is in the negative direction. So minus NS minus NR by minus NS is giving you 2 minus S, which is similar to the braking torque, right? Like braking slip. So these are the two torques. Now, if you draw the equivalent circuit diagram for the two sequences, positive sequence and negative sequence, it will be something like this. R1, JX1, then JXM, the magnetizing inductance, and then X2 dash, the rotor inductance referred to the stator, and R2 dash by S, because the slip here is S. Whereas for this case, it will be R1, X1, this is JXM, this is X2 dash, and R2 dash by what is the slip? It is 2 minus S. Okay, so these are the two equivalent circuits for the positive sequence and the negative sequence. But you see, we have seen that they are, so the voltage applied across this is VM1, which is the positive sequence VM, and VM2, which is the negative sequence VM of the VM. And this is the positive sequence component of the IM1, and this is the positive sequence component of the IM2. Okay, so negative sequence component, sorry. So you can, but we have seen that this IM1 and IM2 are what? IM by 2. We have seen that earlier, right? That IM1 is equal to IM2 and the magnitude is half of the IM, right? And we know that VM can be written as VM1 plus VM2. So if you take these two conditions, okay, so you will see that this is nothing but the series connection of these two, of this circuit and this circuit. Okay, because this is what if you connect it in series, then VM1 plus VM2 will be the overall voltage VM, and they are having the same current IM1 and IM2, which is in the series connection you also have the same current. So that is why you will connect these two in series. It implies that these two are series connected. So this is how then it is series connected. You can see that this is connected in series like this. So they are having the same current IM1 equal to IM2, whereas VM is equal to VM1 plus VM2. Okay, like this. So this is the thing. Now we can also say that if suppose I'm trying to represent it in a proper way, because see, when we are giving the current to this auxiliary winding, in the actual case, when we are giving the for the actual machine, what you are giving? You are giving Vm voltage and Im current, right? So you are giving Vm voltage and Im current. So for this circuit to not change, and if suppose you are instead of having Im by 2, you are giving it the current Im. Okay, so what you can change is you can assume that so that this voltage drops are same. So voltage drop is what? Voltage drop across this is current into, so voltage drop equal to current into impedance. Okay, now the voltage drop for the positive sequence plus voltage drop of the negative sequence is equal to Vm, right? But what is this voltage drop? It is current Im by 2 into impedance. But actually in the system, in the machine, what you are doing? You are giving the current Im, not Im by 2, right? So let us say you are replacing the current Im by 2 with Im. But the voltage drop has to still remain the same, such that this Vm1 plus Vm2 is Vm. Okay, so what you will do, all the impedances in the system, you will make them half, so that the voltage drop remains the same, and this summation of the voltage drops still gives you Vm. Okay, so this is what sir has done here. In the two circuits, you are having the volt, because in this actual induction machine, single phase induction machine, you are giving the voltage Vm and you are giving the current Im. So this is Vm and this is Im. And here the impedances are all halved. Okay, R1 by 2, X1 by 2, X2 dash by 2, R2 dash by 2s, GXM by 2, R1 by 2, X1 by 2, X2 dash by 2, JXM by 2, R2 dash by 2 into 2 minus S. So this is the equivalent circuit diagram of the single phase induction machine. Okay, here you have uh, done first the double revolving theory, representing it in the two separate equivalent circuit diagram representing positive sequence and negative sequence. You found that the currents through them is same, and the summation of the two equivalent circuit voltages Vm1 plus Vm2 is Vm. It means that you can connect them in series. So you have done the series connection and you are representing the overall single phase induction machine with the single equivalent circuit like this. Okay. So this is the equivalent circuit diagram. Now let us comment on the torque. Okay, let us see the starting torque and let us see the running torque. So you will see that at the starting, so at slip equal to 1, so what will, so in for the first connection, what will be the torque? So because this is series connected and because they're having the same impedance, so let us say this is Im. So Im will split it to I into Im minus I, and here also it will be similarly split into Im minus I. Why Im minus I and I? Whatever be their magnitude, but you know that the current division will be same in the two diagrams, right? So these two diagrams, basically what you did was you clubbed this R1 by 2, X1 by 2 in the two cases because they are series connected. So what you will write them as? You will write them as R1 plus JX1. So this is what R1 plus X1. Okay, and then you are having xm by 2 in parallel to x2 dash by 2 in r2 dash by 2s. So you are having xm by 2, r2 dash by 2s and x2 dash by 2, and here you are having r2 dash by 2 into 2 minus s and x2 dash by 2. Okay, so you will know that the current division in the two, because so at slip equal to 1, what will happen? So at slip equal to 1, this s is equal to 1, so this will become r2 dash by 2, and at slip s equal to 1, this will also become r2 dash by 2. So you can see that at slip s equal to 1, this becomes r2 dash by 2 and this also becomes r2 dash by 2. So we know that by the logic of current, because this current Im, in this case also it is seeing the it is getting divided among the similar impedances, and in this case also it is getting divided among the similar impedances. So what will happen that in this these two are the exactly equal impedances, so they will have the same value of current after current division, and here also they will have the same value of current. So what will be the torque in this case? So TEF, forward torque is I square into R2 dash by 2S, and S is equal to 1. Okay. And TE backwards is I square into, this is R2, not R square. Okay. R2 dash by 2 into 2 minus S, where S is equal to 1 will give you same value. Okay. So TE net is equal to TEF minus TEB will be 0. So you can see that at the starting, the net torque is cancelled out, right? But you will see that at any other value of slip. Okay. So let us say that you are having, let us say I forward square into R2 dash by 2S minus I backward square into R2 dash by 2 into 2 minus S. So let us say you take S equal to 0.5. So what will be the torque? So it will be IF square into R2 dash by 2 into 0.5. Here it will be backward square into R2 dash by 2 into 2 minus 0.5, which is like 1.5. Okay, so you can see that the two in the at any other slip, okay, at any other slip other than 1, the net torque will not be 0. So it means that the running torque of the single phase induction machine is non-zero, whereas at the starting the net torque becomes 0, which is also in terms with our analysis, right? Because we know that for the single phase, when you give a single phase supply, then there will be a pulsating standing torque. The pulsating standing rotating magnetic field will not be there. It will be pulsating standing magnetic field. So because of that, it will not rotate in the starting. Okay, which is, so this from the equivalent circuit also we are getting the same thing. Okay, so this is the torque slip characteristics. So here you can see that this TF is forward torque is at the value of slip SF, and the backward torque is at the value of 2 minus SF. Okay, like this. So the net torque will be TF minus TB, some value, which will be the difference of the two values. Okay, so this will be the torque slip characteristics of the single phase induction machine. So how to get the starting torque? So if somehow you can get the 90-degree phase shift between the, so what you can do is that you can also give a supply to this auxiliary winding. Okay, so if you give a supply current to this auxiliary winding, so what will happen is that so this will ensure that it will be similar to a two-phase induction machine. So what you are doing, you are making the single-phase induction machine to act as two-phase induction machine. And we know that in two-phase induction machine, there is no problem at the of the starting torque. Okay, and we know that in two-phase induction machine, there is no problem with the starting torque. Okay. So how to create the two windings which are at 90-degree to each other? So you can do it, how you can do it is you have, suppose the main winding, and then you are having the auxiliary winding. Now, if suppose in the auxiliary winding, you keep a capacitance. Okay. So you will see that the so you will see that the voltage or the which are produced in this VM and VA, they can be made approximately, not exactly 90 degree, because this is not only capacitive, right? So this can be made 90 degree by varying the value of this capacitance. Okay, so that is why in single phase induction motor you have this this capacitive starting. Okay. So I think that is all for the theory of the single phase induction motor. So I have discussed the equivalent circuit diagram in case some questions comes on the equivalent circuit, and I have discussed you this double revolving field theory, because it sometimes some one or two questions may come in the exam. Okay. So so I think that is all for today's class. I just wanted to discuss these things. Is there anything you want to ask?
Yesterday there was one question which you.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. Um, Actually, I did not see the solution of that. What I may do is that while uploading these PPTs in the folder, right? There is one Google Drive link which is there. So there maybe I will write the explanation. Okay, today only I will update the explanation there and I will upload it. Okay. So that is what I'll do. So
Coming to the
hmm,
exam.
hmm,
Okay. Regarding this today's class, yeah, all clear. Maybe a bit of theory where after some time maybe you are recording with the exams. I will try
ha,
to investigate something is needed.
yes, yes.
But for the in the view of exams, so how will be the questions and like
Okay.
share of theory problems? You have any last year or previous years solved papers or something where
Um,
we can try to get more?
Actually, I do not have those, because what happens is that those are there with the NPTEL people. Like what happens that those exams, the exam questions are not what you say formed by me. They are formed by maybe sir or his assistants. So what is done is that that question that sir shares through NPTEL. So I do not have the access to those previous year questions. Okay, but I will say that you whatever assignment questions we solve, right? So you will see that about seven that most of the numerical questions will come similar to the assignment questions which we discuss. Okay, so you will see that there will be some like about 85 to 90% numerical questions will be there, and then remaining 10% will be the theory questions here and there. So those theory questions are there for those people who are seeing the sir's record, each and every recorded lectures. Like I'm not able to discuss the theories in that much detail, right? Because I only get 2 hours where I have to discuss questions also. But you will see that some of the topics, like let us say that this breaking topic which I discussed, this breaking topic sir has discussed in about 1.5 hours, like that. So if someone is following those lectures, then they may be able to answer the full theory questions. But you will be able to answer the theory questions if you follow my discussions also to some extent. Okay. Not every theory questions, but you will all be able to answer. Hmm.
And overall, do we also have something like 2 mark, 3 mark, and 5 mark questions, or is it only 1 mark question? How does this format look like?
Actually, this format totally depends on the professor who is making it. Okay. So that is not a very, this not a predefined format. It totally depends on the professor and how he wants to actually, what is the kind of marks distribution he wants to keep. Okay. One thing which I will suggest is that you people, like generally for this course, electrical machines course, you have to have what you say practice of solving it in that calculator. That calculator will be provided in the exam, not the scientific calculator, because this somewhere there are complex numbers, right? That we have to deal with complex algebra. So there it will be difficult to do it just in the exam. You have to practice it little bit sometimes in between.
Is this calculator available in our website anywhere? How does that look like?
You can just Google it like gate calculator. Okay, it is exactly same to gate exam calculator. Okay.
Okay.
So you will find various GATE exam calculators, and you can just maybe install that app in your mobile for practicing. Okay.
Correct, correct.
So you can do that. Okay.
Maybe last point is just in case if I get any doubts or something, how can I contact you?
You have my
For
you have the mail ID. You just mail me. I generally keep checking my mails regularly. Okay. So maybe I will not be immediately able to reply. I'll be replying in within 2 to 3 hours. Okay. Like that.
Sure.
So you can contact me via the email. Hmm. So shift, yes,
Thank you so much.
yes.
And it was really informative. And even the assignments I was able to solve as per your instructions, and I also saw the scores. Yeah, some places I could not make the calculations due to some doubts, and I missed it. Or otherwise, majority of the questions I solved and got a good marks in assignment. So only the last assignment, which is pending, like today or tomorrow, I'll try to finish it off. So thank you so much, Sakshi. Thanks for all your sessions.
Yes, thank you to both of you to be there always. And another thing is that I'll just say that that because there will be lot of numericals, so you need to have good practice of that gate calculator, as I said. Because what happens in exam that you have to manage your time, right? Because these are calculation based exams. So one thing is that if you see that there are 3 4 questions which are connected, you try to answer first those kind of questions. Okay. In which we have seen also in our this assignments also, right? If you there are like 3 4 questions which are connected one after another. So if you solve those, then actually you will get a higher score, right, in the same time. So you try to target those questions first, and just maybe practice little bit on the complex number manipulation. It helps a lot for that calculator. Okay. Okay. So Shiv Kumar also did the electrical machines one. So Shiv Kumar may also be able to add some things. So how was your experience with the calculator, Shiv Kumar?
Yes, ma'am. Very nice with regard the calculator now. Calculator I am doing by calculator.
That gate calculator only you get, right? Not the scientific
Yes.
one. Gate calculator.
I am doing in gate calculator. By gate I have in gate examination. Gate calculator is good for any examination.
It has the most, like, if you can do little bit of the complex maths on your own, then it has most of the tools which is available on that calculator. Like taking like you can take the argument, you can take the tan inverse, all those things are there. Okay. So all the best to all of you. You both of you also do well. Okay. Okay, then so I'm stopping the class. So if you have any time doubt, you can ask me in the mail ID. Okay, or you can also ask in that YouTube lecture download also. I'll answer. Okay, if I see. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, then all the best. Okay, I'm stopping the class here today. Okay then. Hmm. ठीक है, आई एम स्टॉपिंग द क्लास हियर टुडे. ओके. ओके.